Hey everybody, I'm the Rusty Mechanic, and today I'm going to take a look at Newage H48, and I'm going to get this wrong. Maschinenmensch, I believe is how it's pronounced. Anyway, it's a German word meaning robot person, and it's Newage's version of Arcee from the original Transformers G1 cartoon, most notably from her introduction in the original animated movie Transformers the Movie back in '86. And of course, I got her from showzstore.com again. If you haven't checked out showzstore.com, please go ahead and check out their website. They've got all sorts of things that you can get Transformers related, from official to third party to everything in between. And at the top of their website, they have a support your favorite reviewer box that you can put my code Rusty into. Doesn't cost you anything at all, just helps to support the channel and giving me some additional points that I can use towards getting additional figures, which then I can of course turn into content and reviews for you guys to look at. And with all that stuff out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so as always, we will take a very quick look at the box. So a little bit of a different format with this box than what Newage normally does. Most notably, of course, is it doesn't have the plastic windows to actually see the figure inside the box. But just some very cool styling going on here. Very nice artwork here of Arcee, again from the original Transformers G1 cartoon. A picture of the actual figure here with actually one of her accessories, which is her additional faceplate that has her red visor, but we'll take a look at that as well. Again, there's the name that they've given her, Maschinenmensch. I'm assuming that I'm pronouncing that properly. Anybody out there who speaks German that can educate the rest of us, go ahead and throw a pronunciation into the comments down below if you think you can pull that off. Picture on the side of her in her robot mode and alt mode of the actual figure itself. Some additional artwork on the top of the box. So it's got a cool little motto here, GGID, girls get it done. Onto the back of the box, which always has the favorite part of the box for me with Newage, is they always have a cool nostalgic picture on the back, something out of the cartoon, using their actual figures, right? So we've got Galvatron here on the left, and then Arcee here on the right holding Galvatron's cannon. I think that was somewhere in season 3, right, or 4, right, where she managed to get a hold of Galvatron's cannon and shoot him with it. Again, just very cool nostalgic recreations using their actual figures. I always like that stuff. Anyway, enough about the box. Let's go ahead and take a look at the box itself. Trying a new format here of an overhead product reveal shot. Set of instructions as normal. Right, so there it is in the box. Accessories here in the top, and the figure comes in alt mode in the box in the standard plastic bubble wrap. It's in a plastic bag. We'll take a look at the accessories afterwards. Get her out of the bag here. Very cool looking alt mode. A little bit of paneling here in the roof, but the entire thing is completely painted. Doors are painted. Oh, I did mean to take her hands out because she does look kind of silly with the hands, and I'll leave them in anyway. Doesn't come with the, I'll just show the bottom. It doesn't come with the hands in the arms. This is part of the accessories, but you can peg them into the arms and leave them in there even when she's transformed, as you can see with the arms tucked away. Now, this is a typical underside look for Arcee, right? I think every iteration that we've seen of Arcee, regardless of Legends or Masterpiece or whatever, her body is just tucked away inside, you know, the body of some futuristic Cybertronian car mode. It is what it is, but I will say that everything is tucked away, and the reason why I wanted to take the hands out is because, as you can see from the side profile, when you leave the fists in, they are very prominent and sticking down. If you take the hands out, the arms tuck up a little more under the doors, so you don't see as much of the side profile. Oddly enough, even with the arms in, it doesn't impede the wheels, so plastic wheels, and it rolls very freely, so there's lots of clearance underneath the car, so that's not an issue at all. What else can we take a look at? Translucent blue for the windshield. There is actually some details. I'll see if I can catch it here in the overhead cam. There's actually some in-car details, right? So steering wheel and probably some electronics like a stereo or whatever that's actually in the dash, and it's all painted, so that's kind of cool. Again, very nice looking alt mode. Nothing to complain about here, again, except for there is a lot of line paneling going on, but it does have to do with the standard Arcee transformation of trying to get the entire car collapsed down into some type of backpack that doesn't look, you know, completely gross and disgusting when it's sitting back there. I think the only other complaint is you can actually tell, obviously, from the back, and here's some more details, right? So painted tail lights, which is nice. Again, everything on this is completely painted. The pink is like a high gloss pink, bubblegum pink. Doors are gray, same thing. They've got a high gloss sheen to them, and it's all very nice looking. The only problem I have, again, is you can tell right away where the legs are, right? The legs are tucked right here underneath. You know, it's covered up, and these are her feet. Now, at the same time, I will say it's kind of an ingenious design in that when you look at it, doesn't seem to matter which way you look at it. These are obviously her feet, but they're shaped and positioned in such a way that it's just, you know, the back of a seat with a headrest. So kudos to Newage for working this in that it still looks like seats. But you know it's her legs and her feet, and it's fine. Again, I doubt a lot of us are going to be displaying her in this alt mode anyway. Most likely we will be displaying this in robot mode. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and get into the transformation, which, before I get into this, is a bit of a pain. She is fiddly and floppy and all sorts of fun, weird things as you're going through the transformation because of the way that you have to get the two halves of the car around her body and on and into her backpack. So if this transformation looks absolutely awful, please don't blame the new overhead view that I'm trying out here. Please blame the transformation engineering that Newage has put into this. Anyway, all that aside, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing, so you want to break apart the two halves here that are covering her legs. And it is just a single tab that's in there. There we go. So there is a single tab that's pegged into the other half, and you just want to fold these out just to expose the legs. And of course, as you can imagine, now we're just going to take the legs and extend them all the way out. Just a note, you'll see now that there's these two pegs. They actually peg into the holes in her calves, so just make sure that the legs clear those pegs as you're rotating them around. The next part, so from here on out for the backpack, it's difficult. The two halves of the car are actually pegged into the nose of the car, right where the headlights would be, or the front grille would be, and it's difficult to get it to break away. And I can't explain to you why it is, because it is just a simple peg. I think it has more to do with the fact that the two halves of the car are actually connected to the body with screws that are just inside the doors, and so getting them to pivot away from the front of the car without actually breaking anything off here, I think is the difficult part. And then once you have this broken away, then you want to rotate these two halves on that screw. And again, the whole thing feels like the whole time you're going to break it. So you want to get it so that you're 90 degrees like this, and you have to clear the shoulders. See how like this is twisted off to the side now. So, and the other issue is getting this part around the thigh as well, or the upper leg. It might actually be easier. Actually, let me try this because I didn't try this before. Yeah, if you swing the arms up there, if you swing the arms up to clear the front of the car once you break the tabs away, that is also easier. And then try and show it this way. And then you want to again rotate this so that it's almost 90 degrees to the body. And you can get the upper body up out of the way. So this part was just collapsed down, so you just want to lift it up straight up and down, which also causes the front of the car to break back 90 degrees. Again, this entire area, very fiddly. So if this looks terrible, it looks terrible in real life. The next thing is that, so the windshield is connected to the screw on either side that makes up the side of the car. And you want to pivot the windshield down against the back, and that will cause the two halves of the car to come in line with the leg. And it's not perfect because, again, there's some clearance issues here with the front of the car hitting on what becomes her chest and her shoulders. But if you pivot the windshield flat against the back, then you should end up with the two halves of the car in line with the rest of the body. We've got a sliding peg mechanism. And by the way, sorry, the other thing too is that the two halves of the car will sit like this, 90 degrees to the body, but you can pivot them out, which also helps with clearance as you're trying to maneuver this into position. And as you can see, part of the hood is broken away as well, which is later on in the transformation. But anyway, so let's go back to the side of the car. So there's a sliding pin here. Again, I don't like sliding pins, but it is what it is. So sliding pin here, you just want to push up on the back half of the car and it will break free from the rest, which will become the backpack. So here you want to rotate this 90 degrees. This part of the hood, which has this little tab, you want to rotate this in towards the center of the body, just a little bit like that. It will actually rotate all the way in, like it'll go way further in than that, but you don't need to. You go about halfway in, then full position, and then swing this up, and you will actually feel the bottom half or the back of the car will actually click in to that part of the backpack, and you'll actually feel it click into place, and then you'll see it doesn't flop down anymore. So we do the same thing on the other side. So again, we're gonna lift up the back half of the car so that it breaks free. We're gonna move the inner part of the hood in a little bit, and then rotate this back half of the car up, and there, you heard that one click into place, hopefully in the microphone. Then we can fold down the parts that were on top of her legs, right? So it's just a double pivot right here, so it will fit right over top of the rear of the car, so that's nice and flat. Do the same thing on the other side. Again, as you're doing this, she's floppy, she's gonna fall apart on you. Don't worry about it, just keep at it. So from here, as you'll see, the faceplate and the top of her head are here, and they're actually split out and collapse down against the inside of the car. So we're gonna lift up her faceplate, which will also rotate back her helmet, and then we're gonna rotate the helmet up and into that space. Don't collapse the face onto the head yet, because you want to be able to have the clearance for this entire part here. So the part that makes up her chest, the front of the car, her head, that whole piece rotates around on this mushroom peg that's right here. And then just keep her arms up out of the way. Again, there's clearance issues here. Just be slow and gentle with it so that you've rotated everything around like that. Okay. This is the front of her car, so it's on there's actually like a double pivot part that's happening here, so you just want to fold this down flat against the back like this. And then once you have this here, then the whole section right here at this pinpoint that's right here will fold down so that this ends up on top of her torso, and then of course the chest is in the right position. So you just want to bring this all the way down so that it sits in there like that. And then again, just make sure her head is up and out of the way. You can flip her chest up into position, bring her arms down, and then you can go ahead and flip the faceplate down. And this one's kind of on a double pivot as well. And you just need to play with it, because this is on her helmet's on a ball joint, like her entire head sculpt's on a ball joint with this double pivot. So while you're trying to get her face into position, the helmet will move around on you, and you have to just make sure that it's all the way back on the ball joint so that you can get the faceplate into the right position, and then you can position her head in the right spot. Make sure her chest is in the right spot. all that good stuff. So as we can see, it's starting to form now. So her hips are actually pulled down from her torso, so you just want to push those straight up. It's just on a sliding pin of some type there. Then we can break the legs apart. There's a peg that's in one leg that's pegged in the other, so you just want to separate it at the thigh. And as you can probably see, that peg can actually be rotated back and away so that it's not in her front profile. So when you're looking at her like this, you can't see the peg at all. Again, she's rotating around all over the place on her waist swivel. Last part is her feet. So her feet are actually in the backwards position, and the bottom of her foot has a sliding pin as well. So the feet, the heel and the toes are all the way forward, if you will. So you just want to push it back, just like that. Do the same thing on the other side, and then just rotate the feet around. They are just on a ball joint. Rotate the feet around on the ball joint. And what I find interesting from here is, before we take a good look at her front profile, and that is, with that pivot of the backpack, now it becomes collector's choice, if you will, because I could see how some people might think that this profile with her backpack folded out looks better than this, which is her backpack folded away like that. So you've actually got an option of what you prefer, right? Do you want the backpack to look like this, or do you want the backpack to look out like that? So you can actually position these whichever way you want. And I'm just double checking, just because there we go. One of them was bumped against the other one. There we go. Again, very cool looking, very cool rendition of Arcee. Let's just bring in for the head sculpt. Very, very nice, rendition of Arcee in the head sculpt. Right, we've got some details down the side here on the side of her helmet. She's got light blue eyes with a painted pink face, and the lipstick, I guess, look on her lips. The space between the head to the chest doesn't look too bad, although it's almost reminiscent of Takara Toni's masterpiece, where the chest was too low. I'd almost say the chest is too low here again. So that's interesting to note. The figure is completely painted from top to bottom. All the pinks, all the beiges. The only thing that's not painted actually is the knees. They are just pink molded plastic, which I find is kind of interesting. The gray down here for her ankle boots, whatever you want to call this, bracelet, that's painted. Again, this is all part of the car like we talked about earlier. Everything in her forearms is painted. Really nice details in her torso here. I think got some electronic details going on, some pink and gray and beige going on there, so some nice details there. This is off the front of the car, right? So they kept those details for the front grille of her car mode is still in her chest. And some additional details up here in her neck area here. All very reminiscent of what we remember from the G1 cartoon. You would think that with ball joints for the ankles and how thin her legs are, that she doesn't stand up very well, but surprisingly, she's actually quite stable on her feet. Given the size of them, you got ball joints, you got all this weight here at the backpack. This is actually really well done, so that's impressive. Let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation, and then we'll dive into the accessories afterwards. So like I said, her head is on a ball joint, so of course that gives us slightly confused head tilt. She can look down this far. She can look back very, very far. Right, she can look straight up basically. So there's a mushroom peg here for the shoulder. It's very small, so it would be able to go 360, but of course she has that backpack, so she can go straight up like that. She can go out 90 degrees, but because it is a mushroom peg, that is as far as she can go. She does have a bicep swivel. Does have a double elbow bend. And what's nice too as well is that you'll notice that the elbow pad actually moves with her elbow as well. So that's nice in the articulation for something of this size. That's impressive. Hands are an accessory. It's just a peg that goes into the forearm so they can spin 360. They are a fixed hand like most Legend scale figures. We don't get articulation in the fingers at this size. As you can see, as I've been playing around with her, she does have a waist swivel. She does also have a 90-degree ab crunch. Get the arms out of the way. And as you would expect, no hip skirts or anything in the way on her, and this is a ball joint, so that means we're going to get all sorts of articulation in the leg. It can go out that far. It can go only forward this far, unfortunately, because this is fixed plastic in her hips. It does impede the leg and how far it can go forward. You can get it to move forward further if you continue to bring the leg out towards the side as you're trying to move it forward. And same thing, it doesn't go back very far either. Again, she's so floppy in the waist. It's almost irritating. What do we have? Thigh swivel on a mushroom peg. Double knee joint. When you are articulating the leg because of the transformation, because the thigh does break away here at the leg, you have to worry about that too. But you do get well over 90 degrees, and again, same as her elbow, her knee pad does move with the articulation. And as I mentioned before, the foot is on a ball joint, so that means that you get all sorts of articulation with the foot, right? It can rotate in, it can rotate out. It's got a toe tilt forward. It's got a toe tilt back. So lots of articulation in the angle as well. So very dynamic posing with her very easily. Maybe the only impediment again is her legs, but I don't think that this much movement in the legs is going to work against any type of posing that you want to do with her. She probably can't get a superhero pose, superhero landing pose in because of it. I haven't actually tried. I'm sure somebody out there can give it a go and let me know if you were able to get her into a Scarlett Johansson superhero pose. Perfect. Alright, let's take a look at the accessories. There we go. Alright, let's take a look at the accessories. So she does come with the rifle. I think she only ended up using this rifle once, and it was in one of the 5 Faces of Darkness episodes right at the beginning of Season 3, where she was riding on the outside of Springer and using this as like a sniper rifle. But it is very, very detailed, very nice looking, completely painted. The bright pink and the light pink are all painted. Scope up front, with some additional sight here, additional details. Just a peg handle that obviously pegs into the hand. Put that right there. She does come with her pink pistol. Again, also completely painted. A little bit of detail, not as much as the rifle, but a few details like around the barrel lines and things like that. Oddly enough, like this looks like it's a peg of some type, but I couldn't find a corresponding peg hole to go with the pistol anywhere. I was hoping it was on her leg, but that is not the case, so that does not peg in anywhere, unfortunately. She also comes with her smaller hand pistol, gray. This is just molded plastic. Same thing, as you can see, it's got a peg on the side as well, so I thought that it would peg in somewhere, but again, I couldn't find a corresponding peg hole anywhere. And she does come with an alternate face, which has her red visor, again, from the Transformers the movie, when the Decepticons are attacking Autobot City, right, and she uses the visor to track down Hot Rod and Cup that are coming down the mountainside, so that's a nice addition. It is just a couple of small bumps on the inside of her ridge, so you would lift the head out as you do with the transformation and just pull it forward, and it will just pop off the back of the head, and then you can slide this piece on. I did try it once. It is kind of difficult because of the size of it, but not overly difficult. And then she also comes with a pair of open hands. Not painted like the hands that are in her arms right now, the closed fist. So she comes with the closed fist, and she comes with these, which of course are just on a peg, and you just pull that hand out of the end of the arm to push that one in, and it's as simple as that. I mean, I obviously haven't tried it because it's still on the bracket here. But I would assume that if you had the open hands in instead of the closed fist, that these would flatten against the bottom of the car during your transformation, so you could store them, you could keep them in her forms without having to take them off. But of course, she can't hold the weapons with these hands, which again, typical stuff. And to end it off, I'll just do a quick size comparison for you guys. So I figure she's out of the Transformers, the movie, the original animated movie. I'm going to use Ultra Magnus. And there we go. So there she is next to Newage Ultra Magnus. I think that's right. Right? She wasn't that tall. It's too bad Newage hasn't made a Springer yet. I would like to see what their Springer looks like at some point. But yeah, that looks right. She's up to about just under his shoulder or under his arm there. Looks good. I like it. I like it. That's it, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this review, this content, and the new view that I use of the overhead. Let me know what you thought of the overhead view versus the low view, or the point of view, if you will, down in the comments. Speaking of down in the comments, if you do like my content, please go ahead and check the description down below. I've got all sorts of links in there for all the social media platforms that I hang out on, so you can come and hang out with me as well. And I've got links in there for showzstore.com. Again, don't forget to use my code RUSTY on their website. Again, at the top of their website, you can put RUSTY in the support your favorite reviewer box just to help the channel out. And they still have their Newage Arc entrance set that's on sale and in stock on their site as well, and I put a link for that down below that you can use if you're interested in getting it. It is a very impressive set and does look really good on the shelf. I do have a video coming for it, so please follow along on the channel and make sure that you don't miss that video as well. With all that aside, again, I am the Rusty Mechanic as always, and we'll see you next time.